Live from KSAT 12, the news at 5:30 starts right now.
More questions than answers after two men were found dead in the Park North parking lot early this morning. Here's what we know. Police were called for shots fired around 2 a.m. When they got there, they found two men in their 20s in the parking lot who had been shot. First responders were not able to save them there. In the preliminary police report, a 23-year-old woman is also listed as a victim. Her car was shot at, but she was not injured. We're still waiting to hear what led up to this shooting and any information about a possible suspect. SAPD is investigating this incident as a capital murder case. Well, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is warning about some possibly contaminated chorizo that was sold at H-E-B. The affected product, the APCO all-natural premium chorizo, has a best-by date of May 12. The warning was issued after some people found hard pieces of plastic and metal in the meat. If you bought this product, either throw it out or return it to where you bought it. And the dust is starting to settle after a whirlwind election day. Municipal and education positions have been decided, as well as some props in certain areas. For a complete list of election results, we've got you covered. Scan the QR code on your screen right now for a complete view of every election near you.
All right, let's head outside with live cam this Sunday evening. We've seen a few breaks in some of the cloud cover. Still generally gray, though, as we take a look along the 281 corridor. Back over closer to the airport. Temperatures in the upper 70s here in San Antonio. That's about all we've been able to warm up to. We did manage to find a few showers and stray rumbles here in Bexar County earlier today, but the stronger thunderstorm activity was off to our southwest. Let's take a look, though, at what authority radar has been estimating rainfall totals look like. Wish coverage would have been a little bit better closer to the Alamo City, but you can see on the east side of Bexar County near China Grove, just south of the I-10 corridor, we've got some better rainfall totals. Near half of an inch in China Grove, same over in St. Hedwig. Near an inch of rain, though, as you get closer to New Berlin. Over an inch being reported just to the south of the Seguin area. Where slightly better totals have been recorded was thanks to the round of overnight storms that we were tracking last night. You can see far northern Kerr County, southwestern Gillespie County, an area that definitely needs the rain, was able to pick up on an inch to even 2.5 inches of rain in a few localized spots. But the best totals that we've seen over the past 12 to 24 hours across our southwestern counties, near and just east of Pearsall, eastern LaSalle County, where almost 4 inches of rain are being estimated by authority radar, about 3 inches southern Zavala, stretching over into portions of Dimmitt County east of Carrizo Springs. That was all associated with this cluster of strong thunderstorms that is now moving out of our viewing area and closer to Corpus Christi. We are very quiet here in San Antonio, just a stray shower possible for any evening plans. We do have a few downpours that are weakening across the 77 corridor, northern Lavaca County. That's going to be moving closer to the Houston area, and a few sprinkles possible right now north of San Antonio, north of Comfort, as well as Bernie. All of that's going to be moving closer to Fredericksburg as well as Johnson City. As we look ahead to the upcoming work week, rain chances come down, but we are still expecting damp mornings. Thanks to the humidity in place, some patchy morning fog and drizzle is expected, all starting with tomorrow morning. You can see we've got the cloud cover in place right now. That will continue to be the theme if you're stepping out for any evening plans. Temperatures in the 70s. Again, we are expecting the cloud cover to build back in through the overnight by wake-up time tomorrow morning. Yes, patchy fog, which could hinder some visibilities out there, will likely greet some of us out for the morning drive, and you may want to take the umbrella with you with some of that drizzle possible. And just know that you may need to use the windshield wipers a little bit out on the roadways as well. Temperatures, though, going to be a muggy start tomorrow, starting off near 72 degrees here in San Antonio at 7 a.m. We are expecting a bit more sunshine into the afternoon, nearing 80 for any lunchtime plans. High temperatures in the mid-80s. Enjoy this because a taste of summer is right around the corner. By Tuesday, low 90s, Wednesday, mid-90s. But here's the thing, when you factor in the humidity in place, feels like temperatures will likely climb into the upper 90s and even approaching that triple-digit mark at times. So yes, it's going to be hot by the middle of the week, but Courtney, we're expecting a weak front to move in ahead of next weekend. Not only a break in the humidity as well as the temperatures, but also a few isolated storm chances we'll need to monitor as well.
Not looking forward to the 90s, but thank you for that information. All right, the geography in South Central Texas and where fracking is allowed plays a huge role in where earthquakes happen and why some areas may feel more earthquakes than others. Meteorologist Justin Horn takes a deep dive into fracking and a look at the unique geography surrounding our area.
Life in rural South Texas is quiet for those who live here. If you don't mind the occasional conversation amongst cattle. It's even quieter at night. That is until July 19th, 2023 rolled around.
Well, we were totally asleep. I mean, me and my wife and the dog, and all of a sudden we heard a big boom. Grabbed a flashlight, grabbed a gun, and went out to investigate.
Just down the road, Paul's father, Weldon, got the same jarring wake-up call.
I went out and looked around, thought maybe our butane tank had exploded. Thought a plane crashed or something like that.
Concern prompted a call to the sheriff's office.
They said, no, y'all had an earthquake. And this was about 11:30. And I said, no, earthquakes don't explode like that. I mean, it was a big boom, just a great big explosion.
Turns out it was a shallow, weak earthquake, measuring 3.8 in magnitude. It may have been jarring, but it wasn't the first time. Briggs recalls another tremor around 2011.
I was feeding cows. I didn't feel it because I was on the tractor. But when I came back in the house, my wife and daughter had said something about it. Said, did you feel that? And I said, no. And she was sitting at the table, and the floor just shook for about 5 seconds.
The Riggs live along a rural road called Black Hill. It lies just southwest of Floresville. Last year's earthquake was one of more than 200 measured within the last decade, all within a 50-mile radius of the Riggs homestead, and all happening on the Eagle Ford Shale, a busy oil and gas region of Texas.
There's one directly down here, and there's 2 or 3 over here. There's actually got one that you can see at night.
Probably starting around 10 years ago, we have seen a pretty dramatic increase in the number of earthquakes that have been happening in Texas.
They absolutely are becoming more common. If you go back about 30 years, we had on average 1 earthquake per decade. And now, as anyone living south of San Antonio knows, we have, hundreds.
And by now, you've probably heard that there's a connection to oil and gas. This is, in fact, undeniably true. But how exactly? And does the future bring concerns for damaging earthquakes as the Eagle Ford play stays active? Before we get there, understanding hydraulic fracturing, which has revolutionized the oil and gas industry, and the subsequent disposal of waste. So what exactly is fracking, and how does it affect earthquakes? We have that answer for you after the break. Fracking is a process that allows oil and gas reserves to be freed up. It's done by drilling a well and then eventually inserting water and sand into that well to break up the bedrock below. That frees up the oil and gas.
You are going to inject fluids, sand, and a cocktail of chemicals, which every company has their own proprietary blend of chemicals, at very high pressures, the high enough pressures that it will crack the rock.
In some cases, millions of gallons of water is injected into the well rapidly. Sand is forced into the fractures to keep them open, and then the oil or gas is extracted. But that's not where it ends.
When you're finishing that process, you have to pump all that fluid back out. That ends up being a pretty nasty slurry of stuff.
The preferred method to get rid of that nasty slurry is to inject it deep back into the ground, which of course raises more concerns.
It is very tightly regulated, and if everything is done by the book, there should be no danger to aquifers.
These two connected but separate processes have led to division among geologists. Which one specifically could be blamed for the seismic activity?
So if you had asked me these questions 5 years ago, I would have said that it was almost entirely the injection of wastewater from fracking that was causing earthquakes.
But new research is revealing that it's the fracking process itself mostly causing the issues. And something else to keep in mind here, fracking is not organically creating the shaking. There are pre-existing faults all across South Texas. It's just that they'd never be active in our lifetime if not for the pressure that fracking creates, which is why they term this type of seismic activity as human-induced.
I mean, the vast majority of these are not felt. And even the ones that are felt, they are typically in the magnitude 3 range.
Which may shake your dishes. It's often not until magnitude 4 and higher that you begin to talk about damage. But as fracking continues, is there a concern that the intensities of the earthquakes will increase?
No, I don't think they have any immediate need to be worried. Certainly not for like loss of life or major damage to infrastructure.
And according to Cannon, out of thousands of wells, only around 10% of those drilled ever cause an earthquake. Which brings us to a philosophical question. If there's little damage and the oil and gas industry is benefiting, do we take the good with the bad? Other than being a nuisance, are these earthquakes a problem? No, said those we talked to.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Just know not to put certain things up on shelves and stuff, but we only had one small little picture frame fall down off a shelf, and that's it.
It's good for the economy, not just Texas, not just Pleasanton, Atascosa, Wilson, Karnes County, but for the state.
You need only look at the Eagle Ford cities to see the money it's injected into the economy. And while the rigs have not directly benefited from oil companies drilling on their property, some of their neighbors have.
Maybe it'll come this way.
Sure.
That'd be all right.
We do live in an interconnected world where if we're not producing our own oil, we are relying on regimes in other parts of the world, some of which don't particularly like us, and having our own local sources of oil, even with things like induced seismicity that come along with them, is geopolitically advantageous.
South Central Texas sees a good amount of fracking and earthquakes, but why do we rarely feel them here in San Antonio? We'll tell you how geography plays a role. Now, let's shift north to a place that, for the most part, has avoided earthquakes. San Antonio. Remember, the Balcones Fault runs right through the city. It's an ancient fault that hasn't moved in millions of years.
These are old, really old faults that without the oil and gas production, we wouldn't have considered active. Or the evidence that they were last active is kind of millions of years ago. But these are faults that are sitting there. There wasn't stress accumulating on them until we started changing where the fluids are distributed under the ground.
In this case, though, the Balcones Fault also created the Edwards Aquifer, which comes with stringent regulation and protection by proxy.
Because the Balcones Fault system is so intimately tied to our local aquifer, there's no way that any regulator is ever going to allow any of this stuff anywhere near the Balcones Fault system.
In other words, San Antonio won't be shaking anytime soon, at least not in a big way. Still, those who work downtown might remember November 16th, 2022, when an earthquake occurred hundreds of miles away in West Texas.
In San Antonio that day, we started receiving numerous reports of those in high-rise buildings reporting shaking, which is a pretty eerie feeling considering that earthquake was some 300 miles away. Those on the ground never felt a thing.
If you imagine my finger being the building, as I move the base, a minor move in the base results in a much larger amplitude of motion at the top.
Which means the bulk of us will be none the wiser the next time the Earth decides to tremor under South Texas. And those who do feel the shaking from time to time,
That's a lot.
we'll just treat it as nothing more than a topic for some front porch conversation. For KSAT Explains, I'm meteorologist Justin Horn. We mentioned the Balcones Escarpment when talking about earthquakes, but that's not the only unique geographical feature in South Texas. We'll take a look at what makes South Texas so special after the break.
Can you tell me what this is? What is that a shape of? I'll give you a hint. It's a county.
Is it Bexar County?
It is Bexar County.
Is it a state or are we looking at a county?
It's a county.
Yeah, see,
It makes it more difficult, right?
it does make it more difficult.
Can you tell me where Bexar County is?
Okay. Because San Antonio is it's over here-ish.
Okay. Here? Very close. Could you show me where the Edwards Plateau is?
Edwards Plateau. I believe the Edwards Plateau is right up in here. Oh, no. I'm sorry. So curvilinear, correct?
That's right. You nailed it. Yeah, you got it. Second try. That's perfect.
All right.
Can you show me where Frio County is on this map?
No, I cannot.
Can you show me on this map where Frio County is?
So
If I were to ask you where the Texas Hill Country is, could you show me here on the map?
Let's see, like over here.
Yeah.
That's where our.
Yeah, that's right.
So not everyone knows geography as well as us meteorologists do, and that's okay. We're kind of weird like that. True story, when I was a kid, I read the entire atlas and once memorized every country and its capital. But for those of you who don't have that much time on your hands, we thought we'd touch on some of the more important geographical and geological features that South Texas has to offer. And the feature we thought we'd start with is the most important of all, the Balcones Escarpment. The escarpment, or at least the edge of the escarpment, which I'm standing on now here at Government Canyon State Natural Area, is part of a fault zone that runs through northwestern Bexar County. It more or less splits our viewing area in half. To the north, we have the higher elevation in the hill country. To the south, we have the coastal plains. And this feature really explains a lot about why South Texas is the way it is.
So this is a major uplift that happened about 25 to 24 million years ago, where we actually had a big chunk of central Texas lifted up about 1,500 feet.
The boundary of the escarpment is U-shaped, featuring porous limestone formed by an ancient ocean. It's a boundary that helped create the aquifer and subsequently prolific springs.
Without the springs, you would not have San Antonio.
See, I told you the escarpment was important. The sudden rise in elevation around 1,500 feet in Bexar County alone also makes a difference when it comes to weather. We'll discuss that in a bit. But it's also why the hill country exists. Speaking of, what is the hill country? And how is it different from the Edwards Plateau that you hear us mention so often in weather?
The hill country is just part of the Edwards Plateau. It's sort of the eastern edge of that plateau. And it really encompasses that edge plus the Balcones Escarpment coming down into San Antonio.
Which brings us to I-35. It's a major, important interstate. Notice how it seems to line up with the edge of the Balcones Escarpment.
The I-35 corridor is actually just on the eastern side of the Edwards Plateau. So instead of building up and over the plateau, they just went around it.
That, and going back to the importance of those springs along the escarpment, major cities formed right along its edge, where the water was, and the interstate connects them. And since I-35 serves as a visual boundary of the edge of the escarpment, we often use it in weather to feature our different climate zones. You'll hear us say things like, those east of I-35 have the best chances for storms. Along those same lines, Highway 90, which runs west to east, is useful too. This geography puts us at a unique crossroads.
San Antonio is at the point of three different major ecoregions. The South Texas thornbrush, which basically starts in San Antonio and goes south to the valley.
That's more or less an extension of the Chihuahuan Desert, which creeps in from the west. Think hot and dry.
And then we have the hill country, which goes from west of town towards Kerrville, Sonora.
It's the elevated portion of our viewing area we mentioned earlier.
And then we have the plains, the Central Prairie.
That's the flatter part of South Central Texas, closest to the coast. It features higher humidity, more rain, and more vegetation.
So you drive any direction and you've got a different scene.
Coming up, we're debunking some myths that you may have heard about South Central Texas geography and how it affects our weather forecast. So with all that in mind, let's do some myth busting, fact or fiction, when it comes to geography and what it means for our weather. Yes, clouds do bank up against the escarpment, occasionally making it cloudy in San Antonio, but sunny in the hill country. It can also sometimes help to develop showers. No, there's not a dome over San Antonio. Any sort of heat island effect has no bearing on storms moving through or avoiding the city, despite recent claims. Yes, those east of I-35 often have better chances of rain because they're closer to the Gulf of Mexico and therefore have better, deeper moisture. No, valleys and terrain have little to no impact on tornadoes. They develop and move as they please. Yes, the Serranías del Burro Mountains west of Del Rio in Mexico do have an effect on our weather, mostly when it comes to helping give lift to big storms in the summer that cross into Texas. No, there's no one favorite area in San Antonio that gets hail over the other. However, yes, geography does play a role in winter weather, with northern Bexar County, especially north of 1604, having a much better shot at seeing wintry weather than those in southern Bexar County. And this is why being a meteorologist in South Texas is so fun. Lastly, let's talk about counties. These boundaries are more political than they are geographical, but useful when we're describing where a thunderstorm is located. It's always a good idea to know where your county is located on a map. We use them a lot in weather, especially when it comes to warnings.
And that's South Texas geography in a nutshell. And it's why reading an atlas isn't quite as boring as you might think. For KSAT Explains, I'm meteorologist Justin Horn.